Hello and welcome. Today I will show you 5 things to always do in a chess game. Do these 5 things and you will play better chess and win more games. And now, the first thing to always do in a chess game is to develop quickly. And here we see white moving pawn to e4, which gives his bishop and queen room to develop. And black moves his king pawn out to e6, leaving room for the queen and bishop to develop as well. And now d4, creating further room for development of the dark squared bishop. And next, pawn to d5, attacking white's e4 pawn. And white pushes the pawn forward, creating even more space in which his pieces can develop behind. And now, c5. Normally, you do not want to develop too many pawns before your pieces are moved off the back rank. But here, this pawn attacks the d4 pawn, and white defends it. And now, finally, black develops a piece, and so does white. And the game continues. c4, attacking the bishop. The bishop must retreat, and white loses time for his development in this retreat, giving black time to develop another piece. And now knight to e7, black is ahead in piece development. And next, white moves knight to h3, and generally it is a bad idea to move a knight to the edge of the board where it controls less area and has no effect on the center of the board, which brings me to the second thing that you should always do in a chess game. Control the center. And when the knight moves to h3 on the edge of the board, he is not controlling the center. If he would have moved to f3, there he would place more control on these central squares. And if you see in this game, most of the game is revolved around this battle for the center. The pawns fighting, white trying to gain more space in the center, the knights controlling central squares. And to control the center, you can either place pieces or pawns in the center or use your pieces to control and attack squares in the center. And so we move on with pawn to b6, which is not a very good move as it doesn't control the center. Possibly it can allow space to develop another piece by moving this bishop to b7, or even a6, where it could potentially aim towards white's kingside. And now white castles his king, which brings me to the third thing you should always do in a chess game. Keep your king safe. By castling, white has taken his king out of the center where it may be more vulnerable, as usually the center can open up and pieces will have a better attacking avenue on the king if it's left in the center. But by placing the king closer to the edge of the board, it is barricaded in behind these pawns that have not moved, and his rook is developed also closer towards the center of the board. And in keeping your king safe, it's not just important to get it castled quickly and barricaded in behind these pawns for protection, but also on almost every chess move, before you make your move, you should ask yourself, is my king safe? Are there any checks possible by my opponent? Just making a quick glance of the board and checking and making sure that the opponent cannot attack your king unexpectedly or give you a surprise check can save you from many blunders. You can catch many potential blunders by making sure that there are no surprise checks or double attacks involving your king. And now we move on. Bishop to d7, further development of black's pieces. And white neglects his development, moves a pawn forward, and black captures en passant, and white recaptures. And now, in regards to piece development, there are times when you don't have to actually move the piece to develop it. As you see here, this pawn in front of the rook was moved out of the way as it captured the black pawn, and it freed this rook, which is now able to take control of this entire file. The A file is now under the power of this rook. And so black also moves his rook to a space that will give him potentially more avenues to attack. And white makes an interesting move, queen to h5, lining up on black's king. And so if black followed the third rule of keeping the king safe, he should immediately look at this to see if there are any unexpected checks on his king that could cause him problems or even a checkmate. And here he sees that the f7 square is under attack, but this pawn is protected by the king. So there are no immediate threats, but danger may be close. And so next, pawn to a5, gaining more space on the queen side, perhaps to keep out this rook as well. And now white moves in with a checkmate threat. Queen and knight are lined up on this f7 pawn, threatening checkmate. And in this position, there is an alternate move before we go on. If we go back to queen to h5, here there's another possibility. In the game, a5 was played, but after queen to h5, this brings me to the fourth thing you should always do in a chess game. Look for tactics. Before you make your move, and after you've checked for king safety, you should always check for tactics. Both tactics that you may be able to play on your turn and possible tactics that your opponent may play against you. And if black would have done a quick tactical check in this position, instead of moving his pawn forward to a5, he may have noticed the possibility of sacrificing his knight by capturing on d4. And if the knight was recaptured, it would have cleared the way for his c8 rook to capture the bishop on c2. But because black did not perform a check for tactics, this opportunity was missed. And so if we go back to the game where he played a5 instead, and white jumps the knight into g5, threatening checkmate. Black blocks the checkmate. And here, an unexpected move. Knight captures on h7, leaving the queen able to be captured by this g6 pawn. And so black here, probably unexpected, seeing this unexpected move, captures the queen and knight to f6 checkmate. In that sequence of moves, if a king safety check would have been performed by black, instead of capturing the queen, he could have survived and not gone down to a smothered mate in 14 moves in this game. And so, I hope you've enjoyed this example. We covered the 5 things to always do in a chess game. And they were: 1, to develop quickly, getting all your pieces off the back row. 2, control the center, ensuring that you control the center, placing your pieces or pawns on the center or attacking it. 3, keeping your king safe by always checking for unexpected checks and threats against your king and your opponent's king. 4, looking for tactics. Always doing a quick tactical check, making sure that no unexpected surprises cause you to lose the game. And now the 5th and final thing you should always do in a chess game, and that's to have fun. Not just playing chess, but if you study, trying to improve your game, there will be times when you're studying a dry endgame and maybe you're not feeling into that study and you feel like quitting, you're bored. Well, maybe you just need to switch things up and find parts of chess that you really do enjoy and just take a break and have some fun. Thank you, and if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe. Have a great day.